It's HBO. They over-sexualize things.
It's okay to watch, I guess.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Glass Candle Podcast. I am Arik.
And I'm Lillian, and we admin over at the A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones Discussions and Theories Facebook group.
And today we are joined with a special guest, a group regular. We got Bob on. What's up, Bob?
Not much. What's going on, guys?
Bob, you've been around for a while in the group. How long have you been in just the fandom in general?
5 years or so.
All right, so you pretty much know your shit, more or less.
More or less.
We took his job.
It took two of us to replace Bob.
Yeah.
That's how important he was.
Yeah, don't go that far, guys.
There's rumors that you're slightly biased towards Stannis. Is there any truth to that at all?
Just slightly.
Slightly, right. So today we're talking Cat 3, A Clash of Kings. We're continuing on with our straight line Catelyn POV read-through from this book. As always, the episode breakdown is going to go with a chapter summary, which for the first time we're going to have our guest do. So Bob's going to recap this chapter for us. We're going to discuss who the main character is, who held the biggest influence over the POV character and why, any alternative actions the POV character, or since there's kind of like three main characters here, any alternative actions the main characters of the chapter could have done, how this chapter affects the other plots. We pick an alternative POV to view the events from this one from, and then we'll close out with quotes, standout appearances, and theories. So yeah, that's all the administrative notes. Bob, whenever you're ready for that summary.
All right, let's do it. The chapter begins with everybody's favorite Stark arriving to a meeting place where she's trying to broker a peace deal between the Super Baratheon brothers. She gives us the backstory of the building of Storm's End. Stannis is the first to arrive, and he is socially awkward in all his glory. Then Renly shows up fashionably late, as only Renly would. They proceed to trade barbs at each other, and Stannis says the throne is his by right. Renly argues that he would make a better king because he is charming and better looking. Renly brings up Stannis' letter. Cat seems surprised. Renly not so much. Renly says even if it's true, Stannis has the better claim, but he has the bigger army. He proceeds to offer Stannis a peach and tries to give his older brother Freudian advice, which Stannis scoffs at. Renly then tries to brag about how hot his virgin wife is, and Stannis absolutely roasts him. Renly comes back with jokes about his 10-year-old disfigured niece. Stannis gets pissed and draws Lightbringer, and Renly gets totally sword envy. Renly tells Stannis to open his eyes and look at his army, and he proceeds to name off all the houses that support him. He seems to make up a few that both... he seems to make up a few.
Right?
They both scoff at each other, and the meeting comes to an end, with Mel telling Renly he's a douchebag and Cat realizing she's a failure. Her and Renly head back to camp, and his knights and lords argue over if they should have battle and who will lead the vanguard. He picks Battle and Sir Loras to lead the vanguard. He dismisses everyone. Cat asks if she can leave, and Renly turns her down and says she must stay and witness him smash Stannis' force. Cat then asks if she can go to the Sept and pray. Renly allows this and says he should pray also, and he needs Sir Loras' help for some reason. He assigns Robar Rice to escort Cat to the Sept, and she is like, "What the F are you doing here?" And he asks her the same. She prays and heads back to camp and tells her crew that they should pray also. That's when this chapter comes to an end.
There we go.
Nice
Great
job.
recap there.
Thank you.
I like the part where he makes up a couple. But yeah, Blackbar,
It sure seemed like,
Shermer, Dunn.
there was a few in there I've never heard of.
Right. But hey, like no one's gonna call him out on it, so yeah, just toss him out there. And people, oh, okay, he has them. I don't even know who they are. They must be really important.
He's a absolute good car salesman, that's for sure.
Is that a quality or a fault?
Both, I guess.
Depends.
All right. So let's jump into our first, second. I always put him down as number 2, as in summary being number 1. Anyway, who was the main character of this chapter? Lillian, go ahead and take us off through here.
So for the main character, I have it as Stannis, even though it's probably going to be a triarch of Stannis, Renly, and Cat. Well, whatever. Anyways, I had it as Stannis because we get a better insight into his thoughts. You know, we see more of him than just in the prologue. In the prologue, it was all Crescent, and he had a short discussion with Stannis. But in this one, we get a lot more of how Stannis treats people in general.
Yeah, more or less. Bob, go ahead with yours.
I picked Renly just because what an absolute douchebag he was the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah. He definitely regressed.
About how good looking he is and how big his army is, and that's what makes him would make him a great king. It just
He has a point.
put a bad taste in my mouth.
You think he was alluding to, like, every time he mentioned how big his army was, if he was talking about his dick?
Well, that's possible.
You know, it could.
I'm
so pretty, and look at my
later.
giant army.
I made this argument at Con of Thrones. We'll argue it later. Not about his dick, but about everything.
I was about to say, nice, there you go. That's how you make friends.
He even made fun of Stannis thinking he was a good soldier, like he's ever seen battle. It made no sense.
Yeah, Renly definitely regressed from the standing that he got with me from the last chapter we did. So my main characters, it's fitting that I go last here. I picked Stannis and Renly because the whole point of it was to see their feud. Because you hear about how Stannis says that he doesn't really like Renly, and then in the last chapter and a couple other times you see Renly talk about, Stannis, like no one really likes him, and then now you finally get to see the two of them come together. So between the two of them, like their feud was the main point of everything in this. It further develops their characters. You see like what everybody's fucking talking about.
Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely probably one of the main chapters in the book.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely the big setup for it all, and rather, I guess, anticlimactic ending to the whole thing. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, the whole Rollbar Royce thing really was like, why is this even in here?
Well, it's a good point, though. He had no reason to be there.
Well, it also gives us another Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Rollbar Royce, the Red Ranger.
I thought he was the Blue Ranger.
Brienne is blue.
No, he's the red.
Shit. Yeah, that's right.
Brienne is blue. Red.
He's got red armor.
We've done this, I remember.
Gaiard's the orange.
I thought it was someone with a C was orange.
And then Kui? How do you say that name?
Dude, I don't know.
Kui? I don't know. I thought... Is Karen one of the Power...
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, Karen is? Okay, so our next one is who had the biggest influence over the POV character, that being Cat, and why? Bob, go ahead and take off on this one.
I think Rob had the most influence over Cat, sending her there, trying to get an alliance accomplished.
Yeah, true.
I mean, even though she failed miserably, but I don't think anybody could have brought those two together.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no one. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was a suicide mission, more or less.
What's the deal with the Baratheon brothers? They all hate each other. Like, it makes no sense.
I don't think Robert hated Renly.
I don't think he took him serious. Like, he dismissed it. Like, Robert viewed Renly how the rest of the fandom views Renly.
Like a funny frat bro.
Like Bambi.
I think Barristan calls him a jackanape.
Yeah, he's like somebody you'd want to go get drunk with, but...
I think Robert's someone you'd want to go get drunk with.
Well...
He's a mini Robert.
Get raped?
But...
No.
No, we had this argument. Robert did not rape anybody but Cersei, and Cersei still doesn't count. Don't make me sound like a
Point
sexist,
is,
ridiculous person.
well, you would have nothing to worry about. No, nobody would because Renly's exclusive with Laura, so me and Bob wouldn't have anything.
Are you sure about that?
Yup.
I thought
positive.
you weren't sure. Even though he needed him to help him pray.
They were probably just praying. So my biggest influence over Kat was the Baratheon brothers. I steered away from the Robb angle because everything Kat does, like in all of her chapters and Clash, is influenced by Robb, and we can only make that point so many times. So for just this one, it was for they were what did my notes say? Chance of war, ignoring Lanny's, Robb failing him like Ned. Failing Robb just like Ned. So that's where the Robb influence comes in, because she thinks at the end of it all, she's like, well, I screwed this up just like I screwed up the thing with Ned, or I screwed up the thing with Robb. So that's always in the back of her mind. But especially in this one, she's baffled really at the back and forth between Stannis and Renly and how come they can't like set their shit aside to fight the Lannisters. She thought this was like a done deal. She's like, this is gonna be easy. The Lannisters suck. Everybody fucking hates them. No problem. We'll see how this goes. And then when they're fighting back and forth, she's like, are you fucking kidding me? If she had like a modern mind, that's what she would have said. Cersei Lannister is laughing herself to death right now or something.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Lily, what do you got?
Baratheon brothers. So at one point or another, Kat actually thinks individually of all three of them and how each one would handle the situation. And that's where, at one point where she's thinking about Ned, that Robert always had Ned to like calm him down and pull him back because Renly only took half of his force instead of both forces to surround Stannis. When she actually has a military mind, which is surprising.
It's funny she criticizes that part too, because she's like, he split his forces just like Robb did, and he should have done this.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she's like, Robb is wiser than all of them.
Well,
it's like, that's your fucking mind.
Well, she made fun of kings like the whole time, and she doesn't realize her son's a king.
Right?
Yeah.
She's like, only kings would do this, and like 3 times in the chapter, and she must forget her son's a king too.
She definitely talks about all that stuff from a certain biased point of view.
Oh, yeah, she puts the Starks on a high pedestal.
Yeah, she does. All right, so moving on to the next one, alternative action. So what could Kat have done differently to avoid the result that we know plays out? I'll take on first here, and I don't think Kat could have done anything different. She was in over her head with this feud. Like Bob, you said earlier, like she can't hope to fix any of this. For Renly, though, just so we can have something to talk about here, like I'm going to apply it to Renly and Stannis. Renly could have tried to convince them to focus on King's Landing. With him having the bigger army, it makes more sense that he would have a larger sway in what happens. He'd piss off all of his boys back in the tent. Randall Tarley would have been upset about it, but if Randall's sworn to Renly, then he just needs to shut the fuck up and put his boots on and march. So Renly could have swayed the decision that way. And with Stannis, he could have been just a little less self-obsessed and agreed to help out. And then once everything's calmed down, called a Grand Council and been like, see, Renly's a usurper, like, this isn't a real thing. You guys should vote for me. And then try to work things out that way.
Because it's a democracy.
The Grand Council votes on people, dude. That's how it works.
Great Council?
What'd I say?
Grand. Get your shit straight.
Read the books.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there it goes. But yeah, so in a perfect world, like, that's what I imagine like they should have done, but neither one of those options would have fit with their character, so it's kind of a moot point. Lily, what do you got?
Well, I didn't think about the other ones, but to go back to yours, I can't see Renly doing that at all. Like, that was the option that Kat repetitively, tried to give him, and he shot it down. Tarly shot it down. I thought it was a bad choice for you.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. Like, it wouldn't fit his character to do that, but that's the best thing that he should have done. That's
okay. Yeah, it would have been. Okay, so I said for Kat that she just should have fucking left. She should have got the fuck out of Dodge, because did Renly leave someone at the Sept with her? Like, Robar took her, but then when she returns back to her camp, did they, like, send someone to guard her camp? Like, why couldn't they just fucking leave?
Because Robar was supposed to bring her back.
From the Sept. There's no orders for him to stay there with her and her people.
That's kind of like an implied task.
Fine.
She had the badass Blackwood boy with her, though.
Oh, yeah, the Blackwood boy. Where's his pretty bird shirt? What do you think, Bob? What's your alternative actions?
I thought she should have had Rob go with her to the meeting and met with Stannis first. I know it's probably a dangerous situation, but I don't think they would have killed Rob or anything. He at least held some sway over more than Catelyn did.
I think Stannis would have punked the shit out of Rob.
I don't think so. But
Thanks.
Rob would have died
over what he did to? You think so?
I think Mel would have taken them both out. I think Mel would have taken them both out if they were all within proximity of each other. She would have just gotten it done and over with.
I don't know how he would have punked Rob out as much as he punked Cat out. He dogged her husband, dead husband out.
Yeah, that was rude.
Rob is still shaky, but there's something like he puts on like that strong big boy face in front of all of his people, but the one time where he's talking like with an enemy was the Frey dude, right? Cleo's Frey, and he had his dog come and bark at him, and he was in a room with all of his friends, so it's easy to do that. My
thing is Rob has an army, Cat doesn't have an army.
But the thing, too, if Rob would have been the one to go to the parlay with Stannis and Renly, you saw how quick Stannis was to pull his sword. Rob is an immature boy. He probably would have pulled his sword, too, and it could have just been fucked up right there.
That's a good point.
And Stannis does drop his, quote, thinly veiled threat to Rob, or to Catelyn, saying that Rob will see his day, too. And then it's up to Rob to either, like Lillian said, draw his sword and charge, or piss his pants and be like, what? Stannis doesn't like Ned at all. I can't imagine he'd like his son who named himself king.
Well, I don't know if he doesn't. I think he's jealous of Ned. He's not.
Well, yeah, sure. Stannis is jealous of a lot of people, but.
Well, yeah.
All right. So, how does the events of this chapter feed into the other plots? And Bob, go ahead first.
I got Renly's death, Stannis gaining his army, and no alliance with Rob.
Yeah, definitely. This feeds a lot in to the next chapter where Renly dies, and then, like you said, Stannis definitely increases his numbers a lot. And I didn't write down the no alliance point, but. Yeah, it keeps everything divided. No one gets an alliance with anybody. So, Lillian, you got anything else?
No, we're all on the same page. It sets up the consolidation of Baratheon power and further perpetuates the rumors around Stannis and his Red Witch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this is really just a big lead-in and climactic, now, like looking at it, a climactic moment between Stannis and Renly.
Between this chapter and the next chapter, it's a lot going on.
Right. So yeah, so that point was always going to be a short one. So alternative POV. I normally stray away from the Kings here, but I'm going to pick Stannis because our selection is rather small.
There's all kinds of people. What are you talking about? You started naming the Power Rangers.
Right, but they're not there to see the parlay. The only people there at the parlay to see like the big point of this chapter are Renly, Brienne, Hal Mullen and Catelyn, and then Mel and Stannis, right?
Manderly.
Blue Ranger was there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find Manderly's first name. Which one is it? Is it Wendell?
Yeah,
no. Is it?
Yeah, it's Wendell. Yeah, Wendell.
Well, I was going to bring him up later. I was trying to find him.
Yeah, my bad. I forgot he was there. But anyway, so I picked Stannis. And this will kind of trickle into where we go with theories. I wrote it in down here. But he does keep saying, like, he's going to destroy Renly. And I was wanting to know, like, in his head, like, how is he thinking about doing this? Is he thinking, like, militarily, like, trench lines and flanking them and spear walls and shit like that? Or does he already have the Shadow Demon baby thing in mind? And then I also want to know, like, why isn't he focused on the Lannisters? So whenever they bring him up, or whenever Catelyn brings up fighting the Lannisters, I want to know why he doesn't think that's more of a priority.
I think it's militarily. Because he has it set up where Renly's army will be in the sunlight at dawn where they won't be able to see. I just think he's obviously a more skilled commander than everybody, but I guess Randall Tarley that Renly has with him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But he's still outnumbered by, 5-1?
A fuck ton. He definitely doesn't fit the U.S. Army standard for number ratio. So is that your pick too, Stannis?
Yeah, mine is, just because I want to get into his head and find out how actually awkward he is. Everything anybody says to him just drives him nuts.
Yeah, it does.
He's misunderstood.
Well, aren't we all?
I think people understand him pretty well.
There's like good cases for him to be like on the spectrum. He's just,
he's definitely on the spectrum.
He's misunderstood.
Lillian, who's your pick for alternative POV?
I don't know. Is that what we're on? Sorry, I was looking for.
Are you paying attention?
I was looking for Manderley for like 10 minutes, and I finally found out it was Wendell. All right. So for alternative POV, I had Mel, just wanting to see how she perceived Kat as another strong woman, and was she already planning that early on to kill Renly via shadow contraption thing? And what was her impression of Renly and Brienne, because those are her first time seeing them?
She probably saw them in her fires. So to challenge off on your Melisandre thing, I figured the bulk of Mel's POV would be her like scoffing and laughing at everybody and considering them way below, like, oh, these stupid people, they have no idea Stannis is the prince that was promised, and they're all gonna burn. So, oh, Catelyn, her red hair, she'll burn too. That'll look nice. I just figured there's going to be a whole bunch of that nonsense.
She doesn't call him the prince that was promised, does she?
Whatever. Azor Ahai Reborn. Fair enough.
Well, there's a difference. Want to draw the line.
Maybe in her head she says the same thing. I don't know.
Well, maybe she likes Kat because she has red hair.
Maybe.
Maybe she wants to recruit her to be a red woman. Maybe she wants to have a lesbian experience. We don't know.
Hey, there we go.
I'd read about it.
I wonder if that fan fiction is out there.
I was about to look. I'm like, where's my... it's way over there. And then if anybody picked Brienne, I was going to debunk that by saying it would just be the same, but
love
just
Renly.
reversed for Renly. Yeah.
I love Renly.
Renly speaks, and she's like, that's a great point, King Renly. How come nobody's saying King Renly? They should be saying your grace. What is going on here? And she'd have an aneurysm. I bet she's having a panic attack inside that suit of armor.
Stannis pulls his sword and she tries to get between him, and he still doesn't put it away. He just ignores her. Like,
you're not even there.
Acknowledge her presence at all. All right, so now we're going to get into quotes. So my first one is on 473 of the American paperback version.
Okay, because we have other people.
Yeah.
Just Joe. Joe's the only one.
My show book. Show cover. So it's on 473. We go 4 quotes without. Okay, yeah. So I said we go 4 quotes without Stannis complaining about something, and I wonder if this is a record, right?
It probably is.
So he says, "Lady Stark." So there we go. That's 1. He's not complaining. She said, "Didn't think you'd be here." He says, "Had not thought to be here." Almost close to him complaining, but not directly. So fair enough. Then he says, "Sorry about Ed." And she's like, okay, cool, yeah, he's never an enemy. And then he jumps in there, and he's like, at my brother's, Eddard Stark who broke the siege. And then Stannis says, at my brother's command, not for the love of me, Stannis answered. Lord Eddard did his duty, I will not deny it. Did I ever do less? I should have been Robert's hand. So it's like, boom, there we go, number 4. He starts complaining, like, no, this should have been me. He took my position, it should have been mine. It's like, okay, here we go. And then the ball just keeps rolling from there.
All right, I don't have any fancy chapter numbers because I listen to the audiobooks because I have ADHD, so. But anyway, I am not without mercy, thundered he who was notoriously without mercy.
Yeah, I had that one too. I thought that was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
But it's also wrong.
Yeah,
that
he definitely has mercy.
Yeah. I at the end of my quotes, I found like a bunch of stuff, and I'll get into that later. But Catelyn's wrong about a couple of things in this chapter. Lillian, you got a quote for us?
All right, so we're not huge into symbolism, but I'm gonna bring this one up because it was brought
What are you
up.
talking about? I love it.
So I went to Con of Thrones, and the very first panel I attended was the Shakespeare influence on A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones, whatever. And there's actually some really cool stuff. A lot of it was on Stannis, and so
Yeah, I saw your pictures, and I was like, oh, I didn't catch any of that.
Yeah, they're terrible quality, unfortunately.
I'm also not big into Shakespeare, so.
Neither am I, but it was interesting. So 473, we're getting the description of his sigil from Cat. The device on his sun yellow banner showed a red heart surrounded by a blaze of orange fire. The crowned stag was there, yes, shrunken and enclosed within the heart. And so, according to Shakespeare of Thrones, who was the person that did the panel, it goes with the theme of repression of the heart. So the symbolism represents his identity, and his former self is kind of being engrossed by the R'hllor. What is the fucking religion called?
R'hlorism, I guess. Is that a fan term? R'hlorism?
I feel like there's a name for it, and I'm like blanking. Anyways, that he's losing himself to this religion, basically, is what it symbolizes.
I saw a thing saying it was like him repressing his identity or something like that.
Well, why was she so surprised? She's like, yes, there it is. Like when she was looking at his sigil, she was so surprised to find it.
I didn't
can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it says the crowned stag was there. Yes, ... shrunken and enclosed within the heart. So I read that as her being like analytical of it. Like, yeah, the crowned stag is there, but it's modified and all this stuff. That's how I
get Bob's point of view, because it was like so the banner was a different yellow to begin with, so she couldn't tell what was going on. And at that point, it's like, has he lost himself? Is he throwing away his Baratheon identity? That's how I kind of saw it.
Right. No, yeah, I can see that. It is true. Like, he doesn't really start reclaiming, I guess, his, quote, old self until a Dance with Dragons later in the Clash of Kings.
Or is he just playing right now?
Oh, yeah. he does continue playing that sort of part of it later on, too. His whole religious tolerance thing isn't taken from, like, an angle of, I believe everybody should be able to practice whatever. It's, if you want to join my army, you can keep your god too.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
You're hanging out with me still, right? Cool.
Yeah.
You have a different god? Do you want to come hang out? Cool. Yeah, no. Religious tolerance for everybody. You're all still fighting for me, right? All right, let's go. It's not a social reformer or anything like that. All right, so my next one, 474. And this is a famous Stannis quote. He says, "Kings have no friends," Stannis said bluntly, "only subjects and enemies." And that's a very narrow way to look at things, Stannis. Like, what about allies? What about, I guess, counselors and stuff fall into subjects, I suppose. But, like, you gotta have allies, dude.
They still wouldn't be his peer, it would be his subject. Nobody's going to be his peer.
If he's allied with, like, the Free Cities, if he has to do shit with them, if he has to do shit with the Night's Watch.
Doesn't matter, he still oversees it.
I understand how
he
sees it, yeah.
I understand where he's coming from, and I see nothing wrong with it.
I see it.
I'm also a terrible person, so...
I'm not saying that, but no, like, he's got to get some flexibility in there. It's not just subjects and enemies.
Do you think he considers Davos his subject, or do you think he considers him a friend?
The closest thing he's got to a friend.
Yeah, it is. But I still think he sees him as a subject. Shireen, though, does he see Shireen as a subject? So she kind of falls outside of those two categories.
Well, he's not big on family in general.
He's big on Shireen, though. I think he likes her enough, as much as he can, or as much as he's capable of.
I think he holds her in higher regard than that. I mean, he
She's
considers
his
her as heir, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not trying to downplay it, but Stannis's emotional range is a bit different
yeah.
than everybody else. So as much as he can on that level, he regards to that. So I think she definitely falls outside of this subjects and enemies thing. But even politically and militarily, I think he's got to add in a couple of details in there to broaden out a bit. Because, I mean, that's a very unlikable trait in him.
Yeah,
at least
it
early
is.
on. Bob, you got another one?
Nope, that was my second one.
Oh, I'm sorry to steal it from you.
Oh, that's all right.
Lillian, it looks like it's me and you. We're trading back and forth.
All right, so this one is pretty well known, and I'm sure this is probably one of the ones that Bob uses all the time. Or maybe, I don't know, to show that Renly's a dick, not really anything else. So 475, the whole of the realm denies it, brother, said Renly. Old men deny it with their death rattle, and unborn children deny it in their mother's wombs. They deny it in Dorne, they deny it on the wall. No one wants you for their king. Sorry. So my issue with this quote is, what the fuck does Renly know? Like, he spends his time in King's Landing. We don't know of him ever being in Dorne or talking to people in Dorne. Has he ever talked to anybody at the wall? Like, yes, he's exaggerating and whatever else, but seriously, just shut the fuck up.
Is it they don't like him, or are they just scared of him?
Tomato, potato.
That too, yeah.
But I mean,
Renly,
Renly's not wrong.
He's not.
He's repeating what he's heard, that nobody fucking likes Stannis, and he's like, yeah, he's my brother. I kind of grew up with him. I know him. Like, I don't like him either.
did he really grow up with him? No, isn't he a lot older?
How old is Stannis?
Renly is 21.
Mid-30s?
Yeah, mid 30s.
Stannis is
was
younger than
18
Robert.
or 19. Yeah, Stannis was 18 or 19 when he held Storm's End.
A teenager when he...
So
yes.
Stannis is early 30s, and Ned and Robert would be like mid 30s.
So where was Renly during the siege?
He was in the
baby.
siege. He was in Storm's End, but he was an infant.
And he still holds him in such low regard, his brother.
Yeah, because
He
he
does.
got his
dickhead.
present. Oh wait, which one are you calling a dick?
Renly.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Oh, because
He'd never
Stannis
call
saved his
Stannis.
life. Okay.
If it wouldn't be for him, he'd be dead.
I wonder what they fed baby Renly. Like, did they mash up some rats?
The sorry at the end of that whole thing.
Sarcastic.
I read that with like super intense sarcasm. Like, no one wants you for their king. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dick. Oh, you're going downhill, bro. You did so well last chapter, but... So I had one on 476. You presume too much. Where's that? Oh, this is when...
Stannis frowned at her, you presume too much.
Yeah, Stannis frowned at her. You presume too much, Lady Stark. I am the rightful king, and your son no less a traitor than my brother here. His day will come as well. And that's like oh shit. Okay. It says right after the naked threat fanned her fury. So yeah, I don't. That makes me think that Stannis wouldn't be too quick to jump into an alliance with Robb anyway, considering he doesn't believe in alliances at all.
Do you think if they would have got the letter first, that Robb would have sided with Stannis?
Robb would be too worried that his people would what's the word, impeach him or something from his presidential kingship, and then he would be like, no, I gotta stay king. That's great, John will be mad at me.
It wouldn't have gone over well with the other Northern Lords, but I think Robb would have done the right thing because he makes that argument. I think it's either at the end of Game of Thrones or beginning of Clash of Kings, and he's telling them, Rickon can't have Winterfell before Bran, Renly can't have the throne before Stannis. He's talking about how that would work if the children aren't the heirs, then it's Stannis's. So if he got the letter and he believed it, I think he would have done the right thing and supported Stannis.
But that was before he was crowned king, because he was crowned king at the end of that chapter. That's when they're all in Riverrun.
If he's supposed to be honorable like his father, which his reputation just goes downhill throughout the books, But if he, emulates Ned so much, I think he still would have done the right thing.
Well, even later in the chapter, Cat tells Renly that if the letter's true, then Stannis
Is king.
has the better claim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would she have went back and told Robb that, or should she have went back and told Robb that Stannis is the king?
What happens when she reunites with Robb?
Does she?
Robb
finds out, doesn't
they
he?
They make it back to each other at some point.
Robb does
I can't
find
remember
out.
when Robb gets the letter.
I think Robb gets the letter when he's in the Crownlands, when he's attacking someone over there. He gets the letter from the Maester at Westerlings, at the Crag.
The
Crag.
I believe that's how it happens. It's part of the Westerlands. Right?
No, not the Crownlands.
Oh, yes, Crownlands is King's Landing. My bad. Westerlands is what I meant.
All right, it's a minor thing. No, but when he still gets that message, he still doesn't abdicate and step down as king of the North.
That's a good point.
And Riverlands.
At that point, you're right. You're right.
He's in it too deep.
Great job. Twist his head off.
And then declare himself king of the North. Start flipping tables, pounding his chest. You got another quote, Lillian?
So I had the quote before the one that you just did. So when Kat is kind of interrupting them, she says, "Listen to yourselves. If you were sons of mine, I would bang your heads together and lock you in a bedchamber until you remembered that you were brothers." It's none of her fucking business. Like, I remember watching that scene in the show and thinking, like, who the hell are you to say this to these guys?
Well, she's getting frustrated with the whole thing.
It's just totally out of place to speak to them like that. They're both kings, and she's telling them that they're brats.
Her kids didn't even really listen to her.
They were acting like brats, though.
Still none of her business. Stupid woman.
So my next quote is 477, and it's Renly. It's after he says, "If it were only true, you would indeed be Robert's heir." Stannis says, "Were it true? Do you name me a liar?" And Renly says, "Can you prove any word of this?" And Stannis ground his teeth. And this is an argument that I've had with my brother. And I'm like, "No, Stannis is the true king. Like, the kids are bastards." And he's like, "Can he prove it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, look at the book." And he's like, "The book don't say shit."
The Book of Heredity?
The kids have black hair. He's like, so they have different hair. And then, like, he stumped me. I was like, yeah, that you can't really prove shit. So even if, like, we know it's true, Cersei's admission can just be like, no, I just made that up like, that's not true at all. And, like, you can't prove this. You can't prove the incest. You can't prove the bastardy.
I agree with your brother, really. He doesn't have proof.
Yeah, you can't prove it. It's a tough spot to be in, since we as readers, like, know he's right. Or at least if we believe Cersei, then we know he's right. Because I guess at this point, like, you're not thinking that Cersei was lying. You're just like, oh shit, Cersei was telling the truth the whole time. That'd have been like a big, like, what the fuck moment if George was like, no, Cersei lied to Ned.
That would have
just thrown everybody off. I also wrote down, but Stan was smart to go to John Arryn instead of straight to Robert with it. Because he brings up a good point. He's like, if I went to Robert with it straight up, it would look like I'm just trying to push myself ahead. It's like, no, it would definitely look bad. So he did the right thing going to John Arryn and getting a reliable source.
It seems to me Robert had to know, or at least have some kind of inkling that they don't look like him at all.
I don't think he had any idea.
You don't think so?
Not even repressed, acceptance of it.
The thing is, he never even liked his kids at all.
Yeah, but he
doesn't
really like any.
He liked like some of his bastard kids.
He liked
a long time ago. But when's the last time he saw Edric or Maya?
But they talk about Bara, the
baby. Yeah.
And Robert's like, yeah.
No, she like stuck her finger in his mouth, and he.
Cersei talks about
that happened in the book.
Yes, that happened in the books.
Cersei's pissed off that the kids never, or Robert didn't like that the kids never had that interaction with him, and so she was saying how Robert's stupid little bastards would do stuff like that, and Robert loved it.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Before Janos gave the order. Sir John, Lord Giles.
How are you gonna bring
Oh,
him
yeah.
into the fucking podcast?
There you go.
Oh god.
You found a way to do it.
You better make Alex listen to this.
So yeah, we can bring up the quotes or the poll. So the poll was, did Renly know about the incest? I think he did. Bob, what did you vote?
I think he did too.
And Lillian, you think he did?
I didn't vote, but yes, I think he did.
Yeah, there's a couple things that come into play with it. For one, like he's in there rubbing shoulders. He's not doing that other thing that I said. He's buddies with Littlefinger.
Yep.
There was
think
47
that's
to
what gets-
17.
That
There you go, you got it. But yeah, so he's
Watch
buddies
the
with Littlefinger.
show.
Littlefinger's in on his plan to kind of, or Littlefinger supported Renly's push to take over for the Regency and stuff like that. So you got to imagine that he's picked up a couple of hints from Littlefinger, and then there's the whole Marjorie, the usurpation of Cersei, more or less,
Yeah.
to make Marjorie queen, and that doesn't benefit Renly at all, you know?
Like, it would
So
be
why
really
would-
random to just bring some random girl in for no reason.
Yeah, so why would he do that unless he knows about this incest thing and he's trying to help get rid of all that stuff, you know? But at the same time, it wouldn't remove Joffrey and the kids from the line of succession, so... But the plan just gets snuffed out early, so maybe there was like a second stage to that whole thing. But
Well,
we never
Robert could have
find out
set
about
them
it.
aside. And
He
removed
could
them.
have, and then you'd have a Blackfire Rebellion thing. Or Dance of Dragons thing, where it's like, I was the first kid, well, you got set aside. So there'd be a whole civil war after that, so I assume there was something to do with forcing the kids away. I don't know.
Whatever.
But that's my rationale of it. And then he seems like he's playing along in this whole conversation that we have in this book. We're just like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
it's a good story.
Didn't know that. And then, Lily, go through some of the comments.
That's
on
what
that
I was
post.
looking at right now. So Matthias said 90% of people saying that he knew was going to do so because of the show. In the books, there's no real evidence that he knew. More evidence that he did not know, actually. It would mean that Renly, the careless little boy, figured it out all by himself.
See, in the show, he hates Littlefinger.
Oh, does
In
he?
the books, yeah. He said when they meet in the tent, he's like, I don't like your face. I don't. He just goes off on him. But in the books, even Stannis says that how Littlefinger and Renly used to joke when they were in
Right.
Small
their
council
small
meetings.
council meetings.
Yeah.
So that's wrong. I mean, wrong to me.
Yeah, I don't understand where he was coming from with like saying it was based on the show. I don't remember the first like 1 or 2 seasons of the show at all, so that didn't come in from me. But maybe
And-
we're just in that 10%.
Alright, and then we got Sheila. I just can't see Renly being on the small council and not having figured it out with all of the rest. Pycelle, Varys, Littlefinger, etc. I think that he knew but wanted to take the throne by force and power.
Yeah, like that kind of feeds in with what we were saying. Like everybody on that council knew what the fuck was going on. So.
Except Barristan, he probably didn't have a clue.
Oh yeah, Barristan had no clue.
Poor Barry. He was just there to do his job. He wasn't a critical thinker, just doing his job. That's it.
I mean, fucking Stannis found out. Like Renly would have found out too.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that Sheila made. I don't think there's anybody on the council that didn't know. They all knew, but nobody was talking about it.
Right.
Everybody had their own agendas, who they wanted to put on the throne.
How they were going to
Yeah.
use the information to their benefit, definitely.
Thanks everybody voting and commenting and participating in the poll.
All right, so this basically still adds to the argument that Renly knew on 478. This is Stannis. We both know your wedding was a mummer's farce. A year ago, you were scheming to make the girl one of Robert's whores. And Renly says, a year ago, I was scheming to make the girl Robert's queen. But what does it matter? The boar got Robert, and I got Marjorie. You'll be pleased to know she came to me a maid. So, like, Bob brought it up in the summary, and
You're not going to
we all
finish
know
the
the
quote?
joke. What was it? Oh, in your bed. My bad. In your bed, she's like to die that way. So, do we want to get into, is he outright gay? Or is it just implied? In the
He's
show,
gay.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's overstated in the show. And yeah, he is, but I think it's only for Loras.
Is he with
think they
anybody
have
else
a-
in the show?
No.
No, he dies. But Loras is just like,
is.
this is my defining character trait, so...
Yeah, but in the books, Loras is like just absolutely in love with him, and that's it. The whole quote.
Yeah,
with
then afterwards
the
he's like,
sun
well,
is a
this fucking
flame
sucks.
and
I'll
whatever.
swear off sex now and join the Kingsguard.
Well, they also make Stannis like he's just dying to get with Mel the whole time.
Yeah, right.
Which,
It's HBO, they over-sexualize things.
it's okay to watch, I guess.
I don't know. Your quote.
So on 478, it's and this is, I told you we're big on symbolism and foreshadow.
What
On
did you do?
478, this is Renly. This is after the peach thing. He says, a man should never refuse to taste a peach, he said as he tossed the stone away. He may never get the chance again. Life is short, Stannis. Remember what the Starks say. Winter is coming. So
I don't want to go there.
that's straight up foreshadowing Renly's death, if you guys couldn't pick up on that. It seems like a
Oh,
lot
is
of
that
times
what you were
anytime-
going with?
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you think it means?
Nothing.
I was gonna say Renly hasn't tasted many
There we go.
real peaches in his.
That's where I
Is
was
that a-
going.
Is that what do you mean by peach?
You are not that.
Do you really
stupid.
need me to say it?
Stannis isn't tasting peaches either.
Well, he'd do
He
his
does his
duty if she
duty.
asked him to.
He's had like
Oh
a
God.
peach maybe 6 times in his life.
Well, be sure it's 6.
6 to 9.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'd take the under.
Yeah, you're
It says
overshooting.
once a year or a couple times a year, right?
No more than he
You
had to.
He marches to his bedchamber.
Marches, yeah. But anyway, that's also foreshadowing for Renly's death. Herberts. Life is short, Stannis. Winter is coming. Obviously, Renly means it to Stannis, but Stannis, or Mel, is probably just like, huh, oh boy. Read the next chapter. So,
Alright, so
you got another one?
I'm going
Alright.
to read the whole goddamn thing where he makes up houses. Tyrell's swords
Ah.
will make me king. Rowan and Tarly and Karen will make me king with axe and mace and warhammer. Tarth arrows and Penrose lances. Fossaway Coy? I don't know. Mullendore, Estermont, Selmy, Hightower, Oakhart, Crane, Caswell, Blackbar, Morrigan, Beesbury, Shermer, Dunn, Footley. Even House Florent, your own wives, brothers, and uncles, they will make me king. All the chivalry of the South rides with me. And now that you guys bring it up, I guess, yeah, I didn't really think about it before. I just thought maybe I'd never heard of those houses, but maybe he did make some of them up. Because what the fuck is all that? But he makes a good point, and we talked about this in the last episode too. He compared basically all of his forces to Robert's Warhammer, and at this point in the story, you know, anybody who's going to end up being king is going to take it by conquest, and he's got a good backing.
Yeah, he's got the whole reach. I say that's
And pretty much the Stormlands.
plenty of backing. I was gonna just double check these houses, but I'm sure they all actually exist. If you play Crusader Kings, like they have like all the minor houses like in that thing, so I'm sure they're there. My next one's on 478. This was the worst low blow that Renly could have done, and this is where he says, "As to your daughter, I understand. If my wife looked like yours, I'd send my fool to service her well." So he's insulting Shireen. He's insulting Selyse. Obviously, he's insulting Stannis. He's insulting Patchface, which is probably a dangerous thing to do.
He's
But it was just
insulting
a
Patchface?
Yeah, he's saying that Patchface went and fucked Selyse, and I think that's an
How
insult.
is that an... Alright, fine.
'Cause, like,
Okay, fine.
ew, gross.
He's a fool.
Yeah, but it's Selyse.
He's a fool that fucked mermaids, so I guess, okay, that is a downgrade then, going to
It's-
Selyse from mermaids.
It's an insult all the way around.
Alright, fine. Go ahead.
But it's more so that he's insinuating that Shireen is born from Patchface and that she's that's a little blow, Ryan. You didn't need to do that.
It's fucked up.
So bad call there, Ryan. Didn't need to do that.
Wasn't that Littlefinger that spread that rumor to begin with?
It was his idea, yeah. That was how Cersei countered Stannis' letter. Do you
But
remember
still,
that?
he didn't need to say it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Renly
okay.
or Littlefinger was suggesting all that nonsense. Do you got another quote?
That's it.
I got two more. So on 42, this is where Renly's assigning leadership positions for the battle the next day. So he says, Mathis, you'll lead the center of my main battle. Bryce, you'll have the left. That's Bryce Karen. The right is mine. Lord Estermont, you should command the reserve. And then he gives Loras the van. So I think these are well-placed positions. These are good calls. He's not taking the center just because he thinks, I'm the king, I should be in the center because, that's the best spot. That's me. So he recognizes that Mathis Rowan probably has the better experience to be in that position. He sets himself on the right side. There's probably less personal danger to himself there. But I still think it's a good call to not automatically take central command if he doesn't think he's capable of it. Putting Loras in the van, I think that's fine. It's a smaller engagement, so it's not like Randall Tarley's completely necessary to be on the front line. It'd be a big risk, small reward to have Randall in there.
You don't need Patton for that kind of engagement.
Right. So his whole lineup and position assignments, I think those are good calls by him. And even though he doesn't have any real battlefield experience, I don't think it's accurate to say that he's probably not well learned in all this stuff, because being a Lord Paramount, you probably do learn this shit. And so he handles it quickly. He's like, you're going to be here, you're going to be here, you're going to be here. And then when someone asks who's going to be in the van, they start arguing, and he calms it down fairly quickly, and he makes a quick decision. No one bitches about it afterwards, I don't think.
No, they don't question it.
Yeah, so he makes his decision, everybody shuts the fuck up. So, good command presence by Renly.
Do you think they don't question it because they respect him as much as the king, or do they don't question it because they know that's his little plaything?
Loras has enough skill to justify his position on its own.
Does he, though? He's never been in battle. He's just good at tourney.
Yeah, Renly calls him the greatest knight.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you think John Fossaway should have had it?
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Or Robar?
I mean, probably Tarley.
I think Tarley should have given the assignments.
But again, Patton taking on 20 guys.
Not saying he should have led it, but I think he should have been the strategic mind behind all that.
Yeah, maybe they talked before. I don't know. But he doesn't seem Randall does. No, Randall doesn't say, it should be me. He's just sitting back talking shit about everybody.
Well, he said it should be him because he said he was leading vanguards when whoever it was sucking on their mama's teat.
Yeah, but Tarley doesn't quote anything saying, I should be the one to do this. Maybe it happens when they claim or fill the pavilion as other men loudly set forth their claims. Maybe, but all Randall says is, it takes more than a pretty cloak to charge a shield wall. I was leading Mace Tyrell's van when you were still sucking on your mom's tits, Guyard. And then everybody starts yelling. They're probably just like, oh, shit!
World Star?
Yeah, right?
Oh, my God.
No, I have no problem with Loras being there.
No, me either, but to call him the greatest knight, come on, Renly, really?
He's flattering him. I don't know.
And how Renly's going to get him Lightbringer, gift it to him after the battle.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing there. And then my last one is on Cat's bias. It's on the last page, and it's talking about Robar Royce. He could not be older than 1 in 20, Catelyn thought, of an age with his king, ... But her king, her Rob, had more wisdom at 15 than this youth had ever learned. Or so she prayed. So it's like, come on, Cat. Rob is not smarter than these people. He might be a better fighter now. He might be good at leading battlefield skirmishes, but calling him wiser, that's not accurate at all. Because she argues and bickers with him the entire fucking time they're in River Run, all over the place. And then even before that, Rob had never killed a guy until Whispering Wood. And it's Lillian, this goes back to what I was saying with our last episode. How are these people supposed to get better if they don't do it? She wants to call everybody Knights of the Summer, you guys don't have any experience. Yeah, we're about to go fucking get experience. Will you shut the fuck up, please? They're having their melees. They're running, live fire exercises. Like, they're doing all they can. It's not their fault the realm didn't erupt in war when they were younger.
Okay.
Fuck, lay off, bitch. Sorry. Also, when she says Stan won't bend, we know that's wrong, but that's like a general wrong opinion that everybody has at Stannis.
Most of the stuff she says is wrong.
No. Knights of Summer, we talked about that. When Randall Mathis and Bryce Caron are there, they're not Knights of Summer. So just with her overall assessment of Renly's camp, she's coming at it from like this bitter angle of, well, my side is better.
He has
These people all suck.
Renly has experienced generals just as Robb has experienced generals, but the entirety of their force, all of those knights, they have never fought.
All those people in the north have never fought.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, she's making a correct assessment. I think she is.
Well, some of the people from the north have fought.
Against wildlings?
Well, in the Greyjoy Rebellion.
Or Robert's Rebellion.
Well, just as many should have fought from the Reach then.
On the other side.
Well, they sat in front of Storm's End.
They sat there.
Or, quote,
they
they
didn't
fought
win.
a draw at Ashford, is what I was saying. I said they won at Ashford, but I corrected saying they fought to a draw at Ashford. And then they lost those other 3 at Summerhall. But they're not all unblooded.
No.
And that was my point. That's all of my quotes. Just a couple that I had, just a few. Now we're moving on to standout appearances. So Bob, who's your standout appearance of this chapter?
Mine's Mel.
No, okay.
Because she pretty much put Renly in his place at the end of the chapter and set up everything that's going to come with his demise.
I wonder, like, how come he didn't respond to it at all?
Was he scared? Or was he... No, he didn't respond.
Yeah, I don't think he said anything. I wonder what he was thinking then. It's like one of those things like someone said, he's like, yeah, whatever. Wait, what the fuck do you mean by that?
I had Rollbar Royce, too, as my other one that I liked in the chapter. Just because Kat was kind of calling him out, and he pretty much called her out back, asking her what she was doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ropar's reasoning makes sense to me. Like, he explained it, and I was just like, yeah, sure.
It does.
Okay.
He has no claims to anything, so go do what he's got to do.
Yeah, I mean, got himself a Power Ranger spot. Good for him.
The Royces intrigue me, though. I don't know why they're all spread out, or he sent them all over the place.
Yeah, the kid at the wall, and this one down here. And
the ruins are what get to me. Like, they're very first men, but they're in the Vale. You know, the mountain clans are said to be like the wildlings, which are like first men. So I just want to know more on their backstory and what those ruins, like Bronzeon's armor, if there's actual magic in it, or what any of it means.
Well, then their words, too. I mean, we remember is definitely...
Right? Like, what the fuck do you remember?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same like with the North. Like, the North remembers. Like, well, what do you remember?
They're probably... We remember House Dane's words, and you guys don't.
House Troll.
Oh.
Then here's your standouts.
So my main one is Storm's End, but I kept looking for Manderly's name, Wendell Manderly, because I'm just wondering, because he tells Kat, "This is no fight of ours, my lady. I know the king would not wish his mother to put herself at risk." I can't remember which brother this is. I know both of the brothers are supposed to be fat like Wyman, but not so fat that they can't ride a horse, right? But they're still bigger,
Right.
older guys.
They're still fat people.
I feel like this guy sounds like a pussy. But Wyman is like a badass, and it makes me disappointed in his son.
It's easy for Wyman to talk like a badass because he can't do anything. Physically, he can't do anything.
Didn't he say he used to win tournaments when he was in his younger days?
I don't remember.
Wyman.
Probably.
I think he tells Davos that later on.
In dance, yeah. Because he was a Knight of the Green Hand. So
the
that
whole
has some
family
type
is,
of...
right? Is that
I don't know.
a hereditary thing? Like, does Wendell automatically like get like membership to it when he like takes over?
I don't know anything about it. I just know it's an order of knights. Okay, so then other than that, just Storm's End, and I think we all know the story of Storm's End, to kind of paraphrase it. During God's grief, right? During.
Yep, Durin.
Yep.
His name was just Durin at first, but yeah.
Yeah. What is her name? Eleni? Eleni?
LNA.
Eleni? Whatever. Some chick
Like
who
the
was.
LNA podcast.
Oh my god. Okay.
And we got our roots from Storm's End. That's perfect. That's awesome. That fits.
No.
No?
So he
No,
took.
Storm's End is the best castle.
Okay. So Eleni, whatever the fuck that chick.
Jesus Christ. Who?
Eleni? She was the daughter of the Storm King. Or no, wait. She was the daughter. What the hell are her parents? They're gods.
You want me to do this?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what the
So-
fuck is wrong with me.
Duran fucked Elene, who was the daughter of the wind god and the sea goddess.
Okay.
And then she was Arwen, and she chose immortal life. And her dad and parents got like super fucking pissed off, so they killed all of Duran's family at their wedding. And he was saved by her, like, because she's like a demigod or something, I guess. So he's like, I'm gonna build another castle. And then her parents knocked that shit down again. And he's like, I'm gonna build another one, and they knocked it down again. The worst fucking in-laws anyone's ever had in their life. So he rebuilds it 5 more
You'd be
times.
surprised.
Or
The seventh
whatever.
one. The seventh one is the final one.
Yeah, the 7th one is the final one. There's all kinds of theories. We'll jump into the theories on how it was built in a second here. But it's 40 feet thick at its thinnest,
Mm-hmm.
80 feet on the seaside. It's not really so much a castle as it is like one giant fucking
Tower.
round
Yeah.
stone drum is what it's called. And that has everything. It has the barracks, it has the Lord's Chambers, it has the mess hall, it has everything. And it's topped by its super fucking awesome battlements. So it looks like a
fist.
spiked fist, which is pretty cool. And then Mathis says later on, the trebuchet has not been invented that can breach the walls of Storm's End.
Yeah.
And it's got the coolest name, so Storm's End is the best castle.
So it stood out because it's a cool castle, and I couldn't tell the story, so Eric did it for me. So thank you, Eric.
No problem. Yeah, and then afterwards, Durant took the name God's Grief because he hates his in-laws.
I don't think that was
My
wise,
standout, Stannis and Renly both stood out to me. One, Renly abandons all his chivalry and calmness when he was with Stan. He's like a completely different person from the last chapter. He's like, I'm going to go be a fucking asshole now and antagonize my brother. But then once immediately he gets back to camp and he regains like all of his kingliness and composure and everything. Like he's calm with everybody. We already talked about how he assigns positions and like he doesn't really put up with any arguments or anything like that. But as soon as he gets there with Stannis, he's like, I'm gonna be a dick now. So that stood out to me, and I didn't like Renly in this chapter. And Stan, he stood out because he's very annoying and bitchy. Everything is supposed to be his. Storm's End should have been his. He's not going to accept this gift because it was already his anyway, and I should have been Robert's hand, and I'm the king, and I'm going to kill everybody who says I'm not. It's like, I get it. You're angry. Fair enough.
Do you think Renly acted like that because he knew Stannis had the better claim before, like he was just trying to be a total asshole?
Definitely. He was definitely going in there to try to fuck with him. He had no intention of coming out of that parlay with anything. And I think that's why he denies the incest claims too, because that would put him in the moral wrong. Even though he doesn't care about it, he probably thinks his people do.
Oh yeah.
So it's more like, if I admit this, then these people are going to know that their king is an admitted usurper, as opposed to it being like well, everybody's fucking wrong, so this is okay. So I think that definitely played into it. All right, so let's go into theories.
Go into. Do you want to talk about Bran the Builder?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the thing about it.
Do you have a thing about it?
Not a formal thing about it because I started reading, and it was.
I don't understand how old was Bran the Builder? 8 to 10? I mean, how would he know how to?
Bran the Builder lived for like hundreds of years apparently to build all of these castles.
And how would they have technology to build that castle smooth
And how would
There's
this
no
fucking kid know
cracks.
about architecture?
Yeah, smooth, rounded bricks fit together perfectly.
Yeah, no, this whole thing about Bran building Storm's End when he was fucking 8 years old is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. And how come Winterfell isn't as good as Storm's End then? Winterfell gets sacked all the fucking time.
It doesn't get
So, like,
sacked
what,
all the
this-
time.
Yeah, it does.
How
It's
does
been
it get sacked?
before. The Boltons burned it down, both in this series and in the past.
That's not all the time.
It's happened before. Storm's End has never been
Right.
assaulted and taken.
Theon took it with 20 good men.
Yeah. So how does this 8-year-old boy regress from building an impenetrable fortress to something that just gets burned down?
Maybe Winterfell was
At
a
least
pet
twice.
project, and that's where he started.
When he was, what, 5?
Is he Stephen Hawking or what?
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is with this kid?
Aren't there theories that there's more than one Bran the Builder?
What parent would let their 8-year-old kid go all the way down to the Stormlands from the north and been like, you want to go travel? Go ahead, little boy. That's cool.
Let me show you how to lay brick.
Right? Fucking child labor going on over here. So yeah, that whole idea is dumb to me. And the people in story who believe it are stupid people, and they probably are Northerners.
Yeah. Don't they say something about the children?
Yeah.
The children helping.
Yeah, and the other thing
Bran
is,
the Builder.
yeah, the children use magic to help fit the stones in. Sure, I guess. That sounds less dumb than an 8-year-old building it.
Others claim that a small boy told him what he must do, a boy who would grow to be Bran the Builder.
Yeah, the children helping, like, we know there's caves down in there. Does Arian finds the caves, but there's no, like, cave drawings or some shit.
There are I don't know if they're ironwood trees, but they're a different type of tree or stone that have faces like the werewood trees. And so that's why Preston says it's possibly those are related to the children in the South from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
They all hid in caves from the nuclear fallout.
Yeah, and they all got mutated from radiation, and they look like little elf people.
And incest and.
I'm not going into that.
But yeah, we know there are cave systems down there, and the children like caves up north, so maybe they like caves down south too. But we do know they held all the deep woods, and there is this massive wood right there in the Stormlands.
Mhm.
It's called the Rainwood. And so they're in the area, and people say they helped build a castle, so yeah, sure, maybe.
Why would they help men though? Like, so the children
They
of
were
the
cool with
forest.
him at one point.
Well, yes, they were, but the children of the forest and the old gods. So apparently, the old gods don't like the storm and wind god or whatever the fuck they were. Like, why would they help? You know what I'm saying?
I
What
don't
do
think
they?
the
What do
Storm
they
God and the Wind
benefit?
God are a real thing.
So then, what was the point of building Storm's End?
It probably just fucked up and fell a bunch of times. If at all. Maybe that's the first try. I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
You know what I think.
I don't.
I
What do
do-
you think?
I agree with what Preston says. I mean, I know it sounds lame, but how could that not? I mean, the technology to build that castle isn't around for hundreds of years after medieval times. So, and there's like no windows facing the ocean. It's like set up as like a fallout shelter almost, with walls that what do they say, with all the sand in between them.
Yeah.
Sand and
Yeah,
stone
rock
packed
wall,
between.
sand and shit, rock wall, yeah. Nothing else is built like that.
No, but just for wind, I mean.
Yeah, right. And it's not like on the beach or anything. Like, it's up on a fucking cliff. So,
There'd have to be some huge waves to get to it.
right. So that's why I'm thinking like the sea god knocked the shit down. Like, okay. Like the rubble in the walls, maybe that supports, like, they built it a couple times and it kept falling because of the winds, because there's a lot of winds there, lots of storms.
Does
So
it
fair-
leave it
fair
in
enough.
between the walls?
Yeah, we're just like, we got a bunch of shit here, we don't want to clear it off, so
Just put it in between.
Yeah, it'll add.
Kick the shit back into the ocean.
You know, they could. Maybe they're just like, we worked hard to get it to stone and wood.
They don't want to pollute and kill the mermaids.
The squishers.
And the squishers.
Wait, so now the children are working with the squishers?
They're
just
yes.
because
Squishers
they're
are the
freaks
key
too.
to everything. The deep ones.
They're the same thing, right? Squishers and deep ones?
No.
No?
No? Are they? I don't think they are.
I don't think so either.
No, the deep ones are specifically a Lovecraft thing. The squishers are the ones that mate with people and have like the fish, the connected fingers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the webbing.
The web.
The web thing. I thought they were both
The people and the sisters.
in the book. The deep ones aren't mentioned in the book?
I don't know. Are they?
I thought they were. I thought it was like because White Walkers and others are both used in the story as well. White Walkers isn't just a show thing. So I figured
but it's only used like
by Old Nan.
once or twice, the White Walkers term.
It's used by Old Nan, right?
Deep ones are a species posited by Maester
Tormund
Theron.
says it once.
Tormund says it. Would
The
you say,
deep
Lillian?
ones are a reference to Lovecraft. The legends of Lorath claim the Lorathi maze makers were destroyed by creatures from the sea. It's like all historical stuff. You said Old Nan?
No. Old Nan mentions White Walkers, I thought. And you said Tormund did?
Tormund does, I think, later on.
No, I think it's like a dual meaning term. Deep ones and squishers are the same as White Walkers and others.
It's not. I don't.
I could be wrong. I don't look into this shit. They sound like the same thing.
Well, they're both water creatures, but I don't.
Well, yeah, that's about as much as I looked. I was like, oh, cool. Both water things.
Yeah, I can't. Okay, hold on. It is also unknown if squishers are related to the deep ones written about by Maester Theron.
Okay, so I could be right.
I don't think so, but okay.
That's fine.
You usually are.
My man.
You're like
Lillian
George.
looks like she's gonna throw up.
No, I'm just. Okay. Alright, so anything else? What the hell were you talking about the Stannis thing? That you found something on Reddit for a Stannis thing?
The thing I saw was regarding Stannis' wording whenever he issued his final offer / threat to Renly. It's this whole I shall destroy you and all this other nonsense. Like come tomorrow, like come to me before dawn. It was saying he was being oddly specific about the time, and
At dawn.
he seemed very confident that he was going to win, and they were proposing that Stannis already had this Shadow Baby thing in mind.
See, I fight that he didn't know. I don't think he knew until after, and even then, like, it took him a while to realize that it was kind of his life force that did it. When Kat says it had the face of Stannis. Because he didn't knowingly, like, fuck Mel to make the baby in this one. Or if they did, we don't know about it.
Yeah, it's definitely not as straightforward as in the show.
They gave Renly Courtney Penrose's death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that take, but it's not something I thought of before, because I've gone on record saying the whole Stannis was asleep, he didn't leave his tent, asked Devin, he was there, he saw the whole thing.
But even if he did know, I mean, he saved countless lives by doing it that way.
True, yeah, the assassination was the best thing to do, because all of his people would have died.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be people that hate him anyway, no matter what happened.
Right. And like they're trying to use this to stack on like Kinslayer.
Oh yeah.
And it was dishonorable, and he's a hypocrite by being a sucker for the law, but he assassinated somebody. First of all, it's war, so everybody's going to be guilty of murder, but you don't execute everybody. And
it's not like Renly wouldn't have killed him the next day.
I mean, like everybody was going to kill everybody. And Stannis, like, he is strict about the law, but he's also reasonable about his punishments issued out. Like he pardons everybody that joins his side that was previously with Renly. Like if he was they were like, if he was such a sucker for justice, he should have executed everybody. It's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, dude.
It's not like he didn't offer Renly good terms.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned this to me in one of those threads. He offers to make Renly his heir until he has a son. And Stannis doesn't fuck, so Renly is probably going to be his heir.
And he can keep Storm's on his seat on the council.
Yeah. So Stannis offered him like you said, good terms, and Renly should have accepted, but Renly's prideful and arrogant. He overreached himself. But
it would have made for a short story then, though. I mean, the war would have been over, and
you'd have, instead of Cersei chapters in King's Landing, Stannis chapters in King's Landing.
Stannis, Renly.
No, because this would mean Stannis is king. And then
I
you'd have
haven't been
him
following
going
him.
around. Try to pay attention. You're on the show.
I thought I was paying attention. Apparently I wasn't. Alright, fine.
He was saying it'd be less dramatic because if Renly agreed to Stannis' terms to be his heir, and then they go and take King's Landing, and then instead of the Cersei King's Landing chapters, she has Stannis King's Landing chapters.
Okay. Yeah.
Him, 9 chapters of him and Feast
grinding his teeth,
issuing out justice and punishments.
As long as he leaves Tommen alone.
Yeah, right.
Tommen and his kittens.
Should leave Marcella alone. Marcella didn't do anything. She's a treasure. Joffrey, he can kill him. That's fine. Or at least give him the chance to improve himself, but also remove him from succession.
I don't think there's improving him.
True, but I mean, Stannis should give him the opportunity.
He'd let him take the black.
Go to the wall, yeah. He doesn't deserve or need any other opportunity than that. He's fucked up.
Joffrey would die.
Well, there you go. Sentencing him to death without doing it.
You pull a Randall Tarley on him. I'll kill you, or you can go to the wall.
He would just cry. I think he'd cry. He'd cry and he'd complain the entire time that Yoren or someone else was taking him on that trip.
Alistair Thorne would love it. He'd beat the shit out of that little boy. If he had fun with Jon being just a noble bastard,
a former king,
he would have a field day with Joffrey. That's some fanfic. No, I wouldn't read that. That'd be weird. Just reading about this grown-ass man beating up a little boy.
He could send Joffrey and Janos up to the wall, and they could ride together. That'd be some good reading.
Instead of dunk an egg, it's
no.
The JJ adventures, Janice and Joff. So that about wraps it up for theories. Do we got anything else left to talk about?
I think we're good.
I'm good.
Bob, thanks so much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure and an honor, sir.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast.
We'll have we promised you a Davos chapter, and we failed to deliver on the prologue and then the first Davos chapter we covered, but there's plenty more to come. We'll get you on for one of those sooner or later.
Go get Blackwater.
I'll wait for Dance.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a long way away. We'll get you on before then, but sure, we'll pencil you in for Dance. So as always, guys, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that's fine, but I don't do anything but just release the episodes there. SoundCloud, I guess we're still using that. That's more for our own editing purposes than for anybody to listen to. Our numbers have dropped.
Some people still listen on there.
Yeah, we get like 5 and 6 listens on SoundCloud.
That's where I listen to it at.
There we go. Our YouTube views have been picking up. We haven't really picked up subscribers anymore, but our views are turning out. We'll still do this even if we have just Bob watching our thing. Bob, Matthias, and Joe.
Oh, I love you guys anyway, so...
I'm sure we have a couple of more regulars, but yeah, it's fun doing this. I kept the dick jokes to a minimum here. I did sneak into 69, though.
Eric, say goodbye.
That's all I got. See you guys.
All right, thanks, guys.